I've always loved a good conversation, and probably that's the reason why so many of my stories are dialogue based, conversation based. Uh, because I think a conversation over a cup of tea can solve many issues. I mean, if we can just communicate, we can solve so many problems in the world. Wouldn't you agree with that? And that was the whole idea to start Abracadabra Podcast. That was the whole idea behind the podcast, was to have impromptu conversation with authors, with marketing professionals, with the publishers, with the academics, with other podcast hosts. And I met over 50 varied and talented professionals. It was an amazing segment that I had in season one. But over the past few years, I kind of lost the steam to record the sessions, edit them, and then post them on my podcast because of my full-time job, because of the work on my own books, editing, formatting, designing. It took a lot of time. And then, of course, my online venture, Lit Links by HSD Ascent, also needed some time. So podcasting kind of took the back seat. But of late, I was looking for alternate marketing solutions for my upcoming book, Camera on His Shoulder, which incidentally comes out on June 1st. And that's when I thought, why not do some podcasting, but with a twist this time. This time, along with the conversations, I thought I'm going to have some episodes wherein I am going to do solo reading of my own articles from Medium, Substack, and my blog on jasveersinghdangi.com. So let's see how this goes. Here's a Canadian with an accent. I'm Jasveer, and this is my podcast, Abracadabra Podcast by Jasveer. That's the apt title. And the first article that I'm going to talk about is aptly dedicated to my beautiful daughter, Sahiba. And this is Salt, Superstition, and My Daughter's Smile. This article is available on Medium for you to read. It's also available on Substack. Also, it's available in the blog section of my website, jasveersinghdangi.com. So here's the article. There is a strange surrender that happens when someone becomes a parent. The sharp edges of logic soften, certainties blur, the world suddenly feels larger than what science, reasoning, or evidence alone can explain. I used to laugh at superstitions, especially the one woven deeply into Indian household. I rolled my eyes when my mother took a fistful of salt and circled it around my head before throwing it away to ward off the evil eye. I saw it as ritual without reason, habit without proof. To me, it belonged to an older generation that feared invisible forces because they lacked modern explanations. And yet, today, the atheist and logic-based person in me quietly disappears every time I look at my daughter's beautiful face. The moment a stranger smiles and says, "She's so beautiful," or "What a bubbly child," something ancient awakens inside me. Before reason can interrupt, I instinctively reach for salt. I rotate my hand clockwise over her tiny head and feet, just as my mother once did for me and my siblings. The same practice I once mocked now feels necessary, almost sacred. Not because I suddenly believe in magic in the literal sense, but because love creates fear and fear searches for protection in every form available. Perhaps that is what changes in a parent. A child introduces vulnerability, unlike anything else. Before her, I could debate faith, dismiss customs, and laugh at unseen dangers because the consequences felt distant. But when you hold your child in your arms, you realize how helpless love can make you. Suddenly, the invisible no longer feels impossible. You become willing to believe in energies, blessings, prayers, and rituals, not always because your mind is convinced, but because your heart refuses to leave even the smallest possibility unexplored if it might keep your child safe. Logic asks, does this work? Parenthood whispers, what if it does? And between these two questions lies the transformation of countless mothers and fathers across generations. Maybe these rituals were never entirely about superstition. Maybe they were emotional armor, a way for parents to cope with terrifying reality that they cannot control everything in this world. The salt, the prayer, the black dots behind the ear, the whispered blessings, all of them are acts of helpless love disguised as tradition. They give parents the comforting illusion that they are doing something, however small, against a world full of uncertainties. When I remember my mother circling salt around us, I no longer see ignorance. I see devotion. I see a woman trying to protect her children with every tool her heart believed in. Back then, I saw superstition. Today, I see love translated into ritual. Children have a way of humbling certainty. They make rational people sentimental, skeptics spiritual, and atheists quietly superstitious. Not because parenthood destroys intelligence, but because love expands the boundaries of what we are willing to accept. A child becomes the one exception to every rule we once confidently imposed on the world. And perhaps that is the invisible force parents truly believe in. Not the evil eye itself, but the overwhelming power of love, fear, hope, and protection woven together so tightly that they begin to feel sacred. That was Salt, Superstition, and My Daughter's Smile. Hope you enjoyed listening to me. I hope to bring you more articles in my voice very soon. Thank you so much for listening. P.S. I'm looking for guests for season 3. So if you're an author looking to talk about your work, if you're an editor or a book formatter looking to talk about your craft, if you're an academic looking to talk about your subject, if you're a marketing professional looking to share some tips with budding authors, feel free to reach out on hello@jasveersinghdangi.com, and I'd be more than happy to lend you space on one of the episodes. Just be ready for an impromptu conversation. I'll see you there.